Hello, welcome back to Garblag Games Dune Spectacular Book 3, because we're pretentious enough to call it books now. Book 3, Canley, The Art of the War of Assassins, which is excellent fun and a real sort of strong opener for the game. Nice to see you again. Been a while, been out of things for a bit. So have some of my crew. Not all of them. Some of them won't leave you alone. Joining me this evening,
It's entirely consensual.
we have Lewis reprising his role from the original Dune game of Dela Dargush, now Baron of his house, because we have traveled into the future. Yes, that was purely for the cinematic flow. Reprising his role from Book One, Dela Dargush, former spare number 3, now Baron Dela Dargush, house leader. Nobody panic. It's all totally safe. I swear it. Reprising-ish his role as Foom.
Developing, I like to say.
Developing, yeah. Growing into his role.
Yeah, it's my chance to
Former
narratively mature.
season book 1, War Master. Book 2, member of Seach Abacat. Book 3, why not both? It's Aldoon. Dan, playing a totally different character. That's Dan M. Playing a totally different character from the a-hole trader that he played in Seach Abacat.
Yes.
He's playing a complete and total good guy, as you can tell. He's a Mentat spy master.
What could possibly go wrong?
Subbing in for Alden, for not Alden. Alden's right there. There, one of those directions. Aaron, our previous Mentat spy master. The fear. And last but not least, joining us for the first time in House Dargush is Dan P, who is subbing in as Deputy Marshal, because it couldn't possibly be the actual Marshal while the old man is still alive. Morgan van de Graaf, Honorary Marshal of the House. Deputy Marshal Kalen Dargush.
Hello, everyone.
A distant cousin.
Very distant cousin, nowhere near the top of the chain.
I don't know, that chain gets short real quick.
Okay, she has no intention of being top of the chain.
That's not
Taylor
how it
was like
works.
4th in line.
God, I hope not. I think I'm the daughter of a cousin, so it's fairly distant, far enough that I can't be accused of political backstabbing.
That's because Grandma said the others were idiots.
Yeah.
Didn't trust them.
Grandma likes you, or liked you. Presumably she's not around anymore.
Yeah, Grandma did pass. And when did Grandma pass? That was quite a long while ago. You can watch our intermediate episode where me and Lewis spent a whole evening, 2 evenings, working out what happened between the year 10156 and the year 10191, maybe 2, maybe 3. Long story short, the star of House Dargush has been ascendant, very much so. House Dargush has done incredibly well for itself. They are teetering on the brink of sliding over into great house status, which has made them some enemies, but has also made them some friends. It's also meant that there is now a very complicated inheritance situation for the Dargushes. The heir of the house is Baron Dela's 9-year-old daughter, Saba. His 9-year-old son is technically the heir to House Regis, which is a major house due to marriage contracts and other such fun things. So we're very, very close to the big leagues. And we've got no room left on our poor little moon, or indeed on any of the orbital habitats that we built in the last 20 years to stick stuff on. It's all about the spice. We know that. The spice must flow. And yet, you spent them in about 10,170, I believe. But since we know the spice must flow and that things can get in the way of that, let's talk about things that get in the way of that. This little itty bitty revolution that's sort of been happening on Arrakis in the last few years. Seems the Harkonnen squeezed a little bit too hard after they took over from House Atreides, who fell out of the Emperor's approval and passed from living memory. Although word did spread that the heir to House Atreides, one Paul, became Duke in absentia after the death of his father. His body was never found, although it was dumped in an Arrakis sandstorm, so who knows? But in recent years, word has been spreading of a Fremen uprising against the Harkonnen, led by some strange desert prophet going by the name of Muad'Dib. Some call him Lisan al-Gaib, the voice of the outworld. Others refer to him as a child of prophecy, a descendant of greatness. And there has been some growing discontent. However, the Emperor recently moved to summon all of the great houses to Arrakis to put down this revolution once and for all. The Harkonnens, humiliated by having to call for aid, and with all of the Empire, its forces arrayed in orbit, Muad'Dib struck and announced that he was indeed the long-lost Paul Atreides, now going by Paul Muad'Dib Atreides. And he was more than just a prophet, he was now a holy warrior for the Fremen, and that if they wanted the spice to continue flowing, they would have to come down and treat with him on Arrakis. And that's where we will be beginning our game session once we have had a chance to introduce the players as they are now. So, I guess, Lewis, you have to go first because you've got the most to lose, play for, historicity. Lewis, they can't hear you. They cannot hear you. He is whispering. He's just talking about how great Dela is, for those of you who can't hear him. How pretty he is, how noble. I mean, props to Lewis. He has at least dressed up for the occasion, so he's got the fancy outfit. How about now?
How? How about now? I can hear me.
Okay, nobody's saying they can't.
Now, yes.
Yeah, now, yes. Okay,
There we go.
continuing.
So, Dela
This is a
Dargush,
story all about how.
House Baron. As I was saying, he's gotten a bit older, a bit wiser, hopefully. Still very much trying to keep his house together and protect everyone. Little less knife fighty probably than he was in the good old days. And a little more grey, but he's picked up some nice connections. Obviously we have several allied houses as well that we built up over the years. And yeah, other than that, I think his focus is how do we get out of this without being murdered? Because this looks like a house of cards about to collapse. And we do have some deep ties and important business connections on Arrakis itself.
When religion and politics travel in the same carriage, the whirlwind is sure to follow. Okay,
Some
War Master
windbreakers.
Foom. Let's jump over to you. You
Oh,
remember
gosh.
Foom? He was that lanky teenage kid
Yeah,
who found out
gangly.
that his dad might have been the former War Master / Marshal of the House.
I don't think he was former. Well, he wasn't former. Yes, good old Foom. Foom al-Hoot. Once of Siege Abacat, all knees, many elbows, believing in the will of Shai Hulud, worm rider extraordinaire, happiest out in the depths of the desert, and then through various shenanigans, kind of hooked back up with House Dargush and made his peace with his father, whom he had largely written out of his life for most of his teenage years, and then slowly kind of came to reconcile himself that maybe his father wasn't a total waste of space. And then travelled out to the stars with the express intent of building connections with House Dargush between the Seaches, as Foom was a friend in, was it Seachin town, and subsequently kind of expanded his. If you go into space, how many is that? Expanding a horizon or just all horizons?
Personal horizons, yeah.
Yes, so certainly expanding that, finding a place in House Dargush and its adherence to a meritocracy. So not just on the basis of his father, but also his own merits, and then kind of working his way up, slightly following in the footsteps of his dad, but working his way up to War Master and going on probably several. I'm not sure what Dargush calls them. Interventions, I like to think House Dargush would call them. It's not a police action, it's an intervention. With what was his father's recon team and very rapidly became Foom's recon and exfiltration team. So anyone who needs to leave somewhere.
Retrieval
rapidly,
specialists.
Travel specialists, yes.
Yeah.
Just travel reps. Hi, how are you? Get on the ornithopter.
Boom, boom, boom. Out goes the door. Daka, daka, daka. Down goes the everybody.
Stabby, stabby, stab, stab. Yes. And I've decided that Foom has picked up what amuses him, but what everyone else finds to be a slightly unpleasant and nasty habit of just going behind people going, shall I take his water? And then just moving on.
Yeah, Foom, of course, born with the blue in blue eyes, so won't have lost them.
No.
So marks him out as a little bit of an oddity, also marks him out among the houses as probably closer to Arrakis than most folks would be able to pull off. Also rising up through the ranks, Dan M, our new mentat, Tariq Nazmafat. Where'd he come from? Tell us about him.
Nazmafat doesn't ever not remember a time when he hasn't worked for House Dargush. He's been in service to them since he was born. He was born into the house in the lower courtly ranks, where he was picked for mentat training and attended the mentat school, and then came under the service of one of the kind of apprentices to the spy master, and then kind of got involved with the court shenanigans that way until he was apprenticed directly to the last spy master. And then has inherited his position after the last spy master died unexpectedly.
Anything kill Aaron? Al Ghul Raz, that was his name. I was trying to remember it.
Well, that's the story that we put out.
Definitely not
He's
Raz
dead.
Al Ghul. Al Ghul Raz, that was his name.
Who's definitely dead and not off on some super dark secret mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Definitely dead.
Yeah, definitely.
We've all seen the body twice.
It's a big public funeral as well. He is definitely
Yeah,
Just
everyone
to
wanted to
make
make
sure.
really sure. Like, wow, everybody turned up. Look at that. Why has
Poking you
everyone
with
got
sticks.
a pin? Why have they all got a pin?
And then stepping in to assist the house's very, very frail and aged, honourable, lifelong Marshal, Morgan Vandergraff, held together mostly by a combination of spice and spite.
Never frail.
And worm punching.
This will be remembered.
He doesn't know, but
I lost that to a worm.
every single day, people have been stealing his mace and replacing it with one a fraction lighter, just so that he can still wield it. It's mostly made out of aluminium foil these days. But because it's happened over about 30 years, he doesn't know.
Probably for the best.
Yes.
Young, eager cousin of the house, Kaelin Dargush.
Yes, everybody. I am Dan, and I am playing Kaelin Dargush, who is new to this family makeup. She's very young and naive in that she doesn't seek power. She believes in supporting her family. She's here to seek and make sure her house prospers, and will do anything she can to make sure that happens. She has a very strong sense of justice. Like most noble women, she has trained with the Bene Gesserit. So she has some Bene Gesserit background, but she doesn't talk too much about it because you're not really supposed to. So she has come to the role of Deputy Marshal, probably from some political manoeuvring on her mother's behalf, because her mother is actually the cousin of the Baron. But she thinks it's obviously of her own merit that she's a very good law person and is very good at investigating. Where Foom is obviously extraction and killiness with the War Master, Kaelin's specialities are investigating and security. So that's kind of where she sits in the house. She has taken to the role of Deputy Marshal because, as you've all heard, the current Marshal is aged, and she's probably taken on some more of the duties of being out and about, the requirements of the Marshal, where the other old Marshal might have to sit around and rest a little bit and maybe do a bit more paperwork, whereas Kaelin still young enough and naive enough to be out and about, but she still likes to see the world in maybe slightly positive manner. So she's not completely, broken yet. So, I'm sure that's going to soon change. But otherwise, everything for her is about her house, justice, and serving her house.
And the house itself, House Dargush. House Dargush, a minor house based off of Darga, one of the moons of Epsilon Eridani 4. Still technically a minor house, but with the kind of clout that only the major houses generally have. They're well known to be skilled, well-informed, and ambitious. That ambition has very much shown itself in the time that Dela has been around, as they've risen from those guys who make those lenses, right, to keep an eye on those bastards because they're going to eat a house at some point. Their symbol is the lantern, and their motto is in perception, opportunity. They are widely known as producing the best lenses in the galaxy, used for everything from laser weaponry to deep space telescopy, telemetry, stuff that you use lenses for. What they're much less well known for is the fact that they produce some rather good extraction specialists. And obviously the first part of being an extraction specialist is being able to get into somewhere. So they're definitely not spies. Totally don't make spies. Not masters of industrial espionage at all. Anyone who suggests otherwise suffers from the most horrendous computer failures for some reason.
Information just wants to be free. Well, it wants to be paid for.
Yes, wants to be reasonably priced. But they've not gotten this far without making a few enemies. Enemies of the house, the principal enemy of the house, the enemy that they began with at the very start, House Von Meer. Former allies, formerly tied together through chains of marriage and duty, a bunch of biotechnology specialists and religious fanatics who play fast and loose with the teachings of the Orange Catholic Bible. Von Meer were initially angered by Dargush breaking ties with them to court others, and things have only gotten worse since. So their hatred has blossomed to the very edge of Canley, funnily enough. Also opposed to the House Jongleur. They aren't huge fans, but also because they're spies. It's like, oh, what do you mean? Your spies lack elegance. House Jongleur spies are artists and courtesans and performers, and none of this mundane engineering specialist nonsense. They're the kind of spies that they make films about.
At least our spies don't do acrobatics and circus tricks. Our spies take their job seriously, but don't exist. No spies.
We don't have any spies.
That's
why they don't make any films about our spies, because there aren't any spies.
No, just we got nice sand. That's all, really. Just grind it down, make these lovely lenses. They're great.
Yeah.
House Taisheng aren't our number one fans, mainly because we've slighted their allies in Vonmir, Jongler, and Harkonnen. So they don't like us because their mates don't like us. They're that
friends.
They're that one mean girl who's like, well, I don't really like you because my friends don't like you. And that's it.
I mean, if that's your lineup of friends, yeah, I agree with Odun. Make better choices.
Yeah, all life choices.
But we have friends. We have a little alliance that we've managed to build up of some lesser houses, which is also seen as a threat by some in the Landsraad, but can't make an omelette without brushing a few political rivals underfoot. House Kiwa are very good friends. They believe that House Dargush are highly honorable, professional, outgoing people. They are a military industrial house, really good at producing knives, sharp ones for poking people with, and the soldiers that poke them. Yeah. House Omora. Praise the House Omora, for they provide us with food. They are a farming and religious house. We supported them when they were in trouble, so now they supply us with food and our allies as well, creating a nice little secure group of friends who work together. And House Gunnaruks, with whom we have excellent trade relations and mechanical cooperation. They are mechanical, industrial, and scientific specialists focused on chemistry and ornithopter production. So getting on well with them. We have as many friends as we do enemies.
We weren't trying to make a little mini Landsraad, probably.
Yeah,
maybe.
we were. We were actively.
Absolutely were.
We actively
if
were.
It happened to happen.
There was that whole bit at the end of book 2 where we were actively doing that.
We did do that.
Yeah, actively. It was remembered. It's good that it was remembered, because that'll make Morgan happy.
Yeah. Well, you worked hard for those allies and those enemies, so you deserve to keep them. But that's House Dargush as it stands.
I mean,
House Dargush has a wonderful little planet. The people like them. They're actually popular with the folk of their world. In fact, very popular, as I recall correctly.
Yeah, I think we also
bordering on fanatical devotion. We honor the people. We provide them with education opportunities. We have celebrations. We involve the people of the world in that. They like us. We don't oppress them. Or we don't oppress them, so they like us. Some combo of that.
Yeah.
However, Dargush's industry of late has been so busy that the world is full. There is no more room for them to expand. The only way they can get any bigger is to be granted title to holdings on another world or a bigger world itself, in which case the house would move from being a house minor to a house major, which would shake up all sorts of things, because there's not really room for any new houses without someone making some space.
I mean, I know at least 3 to 4 candidates.
I have some suggestions, Baron.
There are 1 or 2 possible thoughts that may be lingering among the Dargush High Command. And it is Dela's wife, the Countess Ilbana Richis, who has said, look, you've got contacts on Arrakis. We've been summoned there and we don't want to die. Your war master. Bring your war master, bring your best. We've got to go there. Want you to come with, bring some of your troops.
We have
Officially, you'll be
minor-
there as a consort, but I would quite like you to get me out alive.
I mean, we have some minor holdings still on Arrakis, I think, where we do a tiny bit of.
It's cultural exchange, Baron. That's what we call it.
Yeah, that.
Cultural exchange through smugglers.
Yeah, we have no training facilities. We have some sports facilities out in the desert for the more intrepid of our sporting
Our
troops.
ecology outreach program.
Yep, ecology outreach program, very important. With some, I believe, collaboration with our other friendly houses. Yes, I'm sure we can find one or two spots where we'd be most welcome.
Over the years, have we developed like a little place of our own that we could take the Richis to that doesn't give the general vibe of
not that
hey,
you'd want to
we're
take the
actually-"
Richis to.
It's yeah.
They are still quite loyal to the Empire. So
Yeah. Okay then.
So it's gonna
while
be-
you've got your
We will-
in with Abacat, you probably don't want to push it because they're paranoid since their last siege got obliterated. See book 2.
They got a new one.
They did get a new one, so they don't want to let people know where that one is.
That one's
In
quite nice.
that
as I remember.
case,
It's all coming back.
Dela will promise to lay a bit of groundwork, smooth the way a little bit, and hopefully provide some more local security, is how he will explain it.
From space, the Guild Highliners that have transported the great houses have probably never been seen in quite such numbers, even around Arrakis, even around the Imperial planet itself. The number of Highliners in orbit is bordering on positively dangerous. The cylindrical ships rotating in their way as house after house arrives en masse to answer the call of the Emperor. Sardaukar legions, members of all the great houses, their troops, their servants, their soldiers, all being ferried back and forth to the surface of the desert planet in service of recouping the losses that the Harkonnens have suffered and seizing the planet back from this madman prophet they call Muad'Dib.
Yay! So
So we're on the
not
Highliner.
much work.
No. We're on the Highliner. Obviously, we're not allowed to mingle with the navigators or the guild,
Wouldn't want
but
to.
we've kind of attendant on Richis rather than bringing our own. That doesn't mean that you don't have a shuttle and access to your own house materials. What would you like to do up on the Highliner?
Foom is going to inspect the troops and equipment and try and grab a moment with Tarek as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds to me like let's have a duty and battle check from Foom to see how well the people are doing,
Duty? Why is it duty?
making sure they're doing their duty.
Okay. I suppose I was going to go with power. I can't remember how this works.
I suppose if you want to go with power and like tell them what to do, that's a different story. Yeah, go for it. So you click on the skill and then it asks you what drive you want to add.
So battle or discipline.
Mm.
Telling them what to do. I'll go battle. It's fine. This is how I remember how to play this game. And it's not using my battle focus of short blades. I don't feel at this point.
No, but you could be said to be using your statement from your drive.
I was going to play to the so Foom's statement is focus on when you need to be, not where you are. So it's about preparing for landfall. It's about making sure that the initial troops can deploy rapidly and with the right equipment to seize and hold should it be necessary. He's planning for a hard landing.
Fair.
How many dice? 2, presumably.
2 dice, yes, unless you wish to add extras. Oh, that's a good point. Momentum is a thing.
Yes.
We have momentum and threat as a thing. So your momentum begins at number of players. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh.
And your threat begins at number of players as well, which is also 4.
There we go. Excellent. All right. Using focus? No, but I am using statement. Is that a thing?
Using statement is slightly fussier, isn't it? It doesn't count as focus. Using your statement is auto succeeding, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
Which of course I do, because I just shouted about how much Modiphius 2d20 I've been running.
Whoop, whoop. I'm just gonna roll the bones. There's a 1.
There's a 1,
2,
which is
apparently.
2 successes.
Yep.
Because it's a crit.
Okay, good.
So the troops are ready. They are prepped. They are psyched. These are extraction specialists. They're actually getting to be extraction specialists and military force rather than having to pretend that they're not for a change.
Show of force, lads, lasses, and everyone else. Now we're going on to Arrakis. I do not want any of you to embarrass me. So we're going to do still suit exercises. We're going to do desert exercises as much as we can within the whole of the ship. I expect every ornithopter to be oiled and ready. I expect you all to be suited and booted and at the Baron's command at every moment.
So I think we will create an asset for your troops there, which is battle ready.
I will take it.
And we use your successes to make that. Remember, you can use success to create assets. 2 successes creates a new asset, which you can apply to something that exists.
Yep.
So
absolutely, yes.
You have exfiltration team, and they're already very good. So beyond that, they're now battle ready as well. Anybody else got plans up in space?
Yeah, at the other end of the spectrum, Kaylin has a very small specialist infantry team. They are more investigators and security rather than full-on military force, that they could probably do military maneuvers in a pinch, but she is prepping them in the opposite direction to not do hard landing, but to protect the Baron and the Countess. So she is looking at probably duty and discipline, so preparing them, getting them ready for corners, walls, high points, making sure our job is to make sure that the Baron doesn't get sniped or something like that. Whereas Foom's
running
job
them
make sure...
through holograms of the streets of Arrakis.
Yeah. So we've probably got that little hologram map out, and we're looking at our route through to things and whatnot. So that's what we're preparing for at the moment. So
okay, fire away.
I have a focus. My focus is command, so I would like to use my focus.
Seems acceptable.
So the duty, and let's do that. How many dice we're doing? It'd be 3, won't it? Because I'm using a focus.
No, it just means that because you're using a focus, anything below your discipline rating will count as a crit rather than just a success. So very nice. That is anything less than a 7.
Oh, I rolled a 1. Oh no, I rolled a 9. But that's a so that's a there we go.
You rolled a 9. Which is a success. Oh, of course. Yeah.
Counts as a 1. Yeah.
Foom rolled a 4, which is a success.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, yes, your investigators are learning their way around Arakeen, Carthag.
Yeah. So they're now security ready to make sure. So I'll probably be the one escorting with the Baron with a couple of them, and then the others will probably be moving through the buildings, across the rooftops, making sure that we're sort of taking up high points. And if there is a sniper, we could take out a sniper.
And if there is snipers, it's likely to be the Imperial forces that are going to be there and sniping because
But
Yay.
again, it comes down to my statement. I will do what I needs to be done to see my house prosper, and having our Baron die doesn't have our house prospering.
no, it doesn't. You're right.
It's all right. We've got replacements.
Have we?
They're 9.
Private chat. It's all right. We've got a spare. It's all right. We've got contingency, Kaylin. It's okay. And yeah, if you want to kick off with the Sardaukar, absolutely.
I mean,
Oh,
she
Foom's going to be
absolutely
pissed when he finds out that that's what's already happening.
No,
Or
but
just
like,
gleeful. It's like, right, bring it.
yeah, but the whole point is like, because she just assumes that everyone's a bad guy. She doesn't really do politics. Like I said, she's not that way inclined, but she's been like an investigator for a long time, and just as a general rule, don't trust anybody.
Very
be honourable.
sensible.
So she just assumes that everyone's out to get the Baron, and then if we work that way, then hopefully that way we'll maybe keep him alive. She likes the Baron.
Yeah, he's grown used to him.
Meanwhile,
catch up with
our
our
spy
spy
master,
Yes.
who I believe that Foom also wanted to catch up with.
Mm.
So you two catch up first, and then spy master can spy.
And then at
Oh,
the end, I'll gather everyone together for us.
for a speech.
Boom. How may I be of assistance?
Well, I was wondering whether we had any intel on what we're expecting to find on the ground. We know what the other houses are up to, kind of. But just anything that's going to be useful to help both myself and Kaylin keep the Baron alive, at least long enough to get into the housing, and obviously his bride, and well, the rest of us would also be useful. But just kind of, what else
They've
do
got
we
their
know?
own people. You know, Richie's guards can go with Richie's. That's their problem.
Have you seen-
Indeed, I have been reaching out to our contacts on the planet below, and I have compiled the following information. I say, as I want to roll for something.
Okie dokie. I'm guessing then that you probably
Lovely.
want to do an understand roll with your data analysis to compile all of the
yes.
reports that you've got.
So I have a data analysis. I have an understand of 8.
Yep, but with a drive, what drive do you want to use that with? Truth?
Yeah.
Okay,
truth.
that's outrageous. You are spectacular at this thing.
Truth is 7.
The
Yep.
Mentat.
So you roll
Amazing.
understand and truth with focus.
Makes perfect
2d20.
sense.
Yep. And if you want, you can claim that that 17 is actually a 1 because of Mentat discipline.
Yeah, I'm happy for that.
Yeah, go with that then.
Wow.
Okay, so that's 4 successes on information gathered then. Just
Here is my report, sir.
fairly
Picture of the Emperor's
spectacular.
nostril.
So yes, with that level of intelligence, that will provide you with a huge amount of information that the Fremen of Arrakis, whom you do have contacts with, partly through Foom, have united under a single leader, that this Muad'Dib is actually the lost heir of House Atreides, and that he has surpassed the Bene Gesserit training that he's supposed to have had. And Mentats don't get on with the Bene Gesserit so much. Silly superstition and witchcraft.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll work with them professionally, but
Not so logical.
and that the Emperor calling all of the houses here is an act of desperation, not strength.
Mm.
So, do we have any inclination or intelligence on? So, are we fodder to stand in the way of the Fremen, or is the Emperor here to play yet more shenanigans and maybe weed out some threats to themselves while they're feeling weak?
Analyzing the data at hand, my lord. It would
No,
indicate. Sorry, War. What's your title again? It's War Master,
War
isn't it?
Master.
War Master. Sorry.
Mentats being formal.
Yes, reviewing the data at hand, War Master, it would indicate to me that we are in fact the Emperor's cannon fodder in this matter.
Which is awkward, given we have connections with the Fremen.
I am more concerned that these Fremen were able to beat the Emperor's Sardaukar. I do
Any
not
day of the
know.
week.
Bunch of convicts. Their heart's not really in it.
I am not as acquainted with our desert brethren as you are, War Master.
I would put my spice rations on the Fremen any day against the Sardaukar. Which is why I don't particularly like being the meat and the grinder in this particular battle. Still, it is for the Baron to pronounce on how we shall proceed, whether we will take advantage of the chaos and accrue some credit for the house, or whether we will find a way to navigate the slippery sands and avoid being eaten by Shai Hulud, whose will must not be underestimated.
So no pressure.
Bless the Maker and his passing.
Oh, I believe the Baron wanted to call us all together to give us a rousing speech.
Yes, we should probably attend on the Baron.
Yeah.
Not going to be that rousing.
Shall I gather the troops, sir?
No, it's a small conference.
Okay, I'm
Demand crew only.
Yeah. When you come in, you find Dayla sitting around, tending to and pruning some roses, which no one has probably seen him do in a very long time. So, but sitting there, he gathers you together, and obviously with the situation at hand,
Grandma's favourite.
yeah. I think this is going to be a difficult one. I think we all know that. And I have offered Richie's some additional protection in this matter. So in that regard, I'd like Kaylin and Foom, I'd like you to coordinate with our connections on the ground to see if we cannot rustle up some additional local protection.
already in train, Baron.
I don't know what direction it's going to go in, but with our fellow Fremen on hand, we have options. I don't think the Emperor has called us here for fun and games and parties, so there is going to be a reckoning of sorts, I imagine. Too many houses are gathered. That creates too much danger for things to go unescalated.
And what is your will, Baron, other than protecting House Richie's and obviously House Dargush?
We will need to flow with the sands a little bit on this one.
You have learnt some wisdom.
I'm not sure what this is going to bring, but there's change in the air. Also, I don't think our own little connections with Arrakis are going to go unnoticed entirely, depending on how this turns out. Tariq, we definitely need a better idea of what we're walking into. And I don't just mean with what the Emperor has going on. You gather up all these houses together, they're going to start plotting on their own. It's
Yes.
the ideal time.
Yes, Baron.
Rachis is as much a target here as we are.
Worth bearing in mind that Rachis are not well beloved of the Emperor. He destroyed one of their production moons, ostensibly because they were at risk of developing thinking machines. And the house took a serious decline, partly why they've had to marry into a minor house rather than another major house. But that's panned out quite well for
Minor
them.
in
So they're
house,
not
major in
super
spirit.
upset about that. They're not huge fans of the Emperor either.
Which is why, hopefully, if necessary, we might be able to push them in whatever direction becomes necessary.
There is an incoming broadcast from the planet below, and everybody assuming that it's going to be from the Emperor kind of straightens themselves up a little bit, presses to receive, and it's not. The image that appears is that of a young man with hard skin, blue in blue eyes of a Fremen, but the facial structure of an Atreides, not entirely unmistakable. He could be recognized very easily. He's wiry but strong, and there is a determination in his features that speaks of hardships suffered and lessons learned. And it's broadcasting to all ships in orbit and all forces on the ground below. To all Imperial forces and Guild highliners in space above Arrakis, know this: I am Paul Atreides, Duke of House Atreides, and I am the leader of the Fremen who own this world. Prior to this broadcast, my troops have seeded several significant spice regions in such a way as to bring about the destruction of the spice ecology on Arrakis. If you do not attend on me, if you do not stand down from your military position, the spice will not flow. There will be no guild navigation. There will be no house stockpiles. I invite you to join me in the former Harkonnen stronghold in Arrakeen to discuss terms. And that message blinks out. And as it does, about 70 billion other communications channels all just sort of light up system-wide. Everybody's like, ah!
Well, that settles the matter then. Looks like we'll be going to Arrakeen to see how this plays out anyway.
Did we capture that video? Can we run that against the files that we have on House Atreides?
I think the legitimacy at this point isn't really doesn't really matter.
There is the legitimacy at the end of a Chris knife, and then there is legitimacy in the eyes of the Landsrad.
Certainly
Yes.
answer a few questions.
Tarek, you can spend a point of momentum to use your verify talent, which will tell you whether or not it's Paul Atreides. Just like that.
Well, it grows
That-
back. We can earn
Dan's
more.
focusing completely. His mentat gears are turning. There are no
You've been
gears.
muted.
You're not a thinking machine.
There are no thinking machines.
Before the Emperor.
It blows us up. Yeah.
So yeah, Dan, do you want to spend a point of momentum to verify the information? as
Yes,
accurate?
please.
Go for it.
It absolutely is. You know, the Mentats have been talking about whether or not Paul Atreides could have survived. There have been theories that he might have been connected to the Fremen uprising in some way. Mentats have been building images and aging photos of him as a child into adulthood to work out what he might look like. And you
That's
are
pretty on the nose.
never 100% certain, but if that's not Paul Atreides, whoever is doing it has managed to copy his body down to microscopic movements and is playing a
It's either
very
a very
brave game.
sophisticated golem or it's the real deal.
Oh, so you think House Von there?
No,
Oh.
logic dictates that this is the real deal.
Yeah. Family
This
doesn't
is
have
this is the son of
steel or
Leto.
So, the spice must flow. The Emperor has ordered us to crush this uprising, and now the uprising Duke has ordered us all down to Humiliation Central.
Um,
Well played. Well
Using-
played.
my talent, passive scrutiny,
Mhm.
which is when we're in a scene, I can ask you one question as if I'd spent momentum to obtain information. Was there anything in the sort of video in the background that would insinuate his sort of location, or is it just like a random cave with sand in it?
No, it did indeed look like it could have been the palace on Arrakeen, in Arrakeen. On top of that, your own training would let you know that the speaker very much had Bene Gesserit training, possibly even training beyond yours.
Okie dokie, we are in trouble.
Mm.
Baron, if I may, he may have some link to the Ben Gesserit. Just
Great.
some things that sort of drew my attention to it. I just thought I'd give you some warning. This could be, quite frankly, a kill box, I believe the War Master would call it.
A trap. I call it a
It-
trap.
Oh,
I'd sit in my swivel chair and I'd call it a trap.
yeah.
Indeed.
Because we rarely spend our time stepping into traps, don't we?
Well, we like to know they're there. I mean, that helps, in perception, etc., etc.
I think in this case, I definitely, when we take the transport down, I'm gonna need you or someone you trust to peel off and contact the siege. We
Well.
are going to need some maneuver room here.
I also suggest that we file different flight plans and not follow any of them. So
Seems fair.
launching multiple transports would be a good idea.
Do we have any idea of the situation on the ground at the moment?
What you would know at the moment is that the Emperor dropped several legions of Sardaukar on planet in an
Aren't
attempt
they
to
still there?
pacify the population. And while many of them are still there, they are at best maintaining a holding position. This was not a drop the Imperial Terror Legions on a planet and crush the local populace that they were expecting it to be.
Yeah.
They've dropped the Terror Legions, and the Terror Legions have been ground into a stalemate. Atomics have been used recently on World to detonate a stone mountain range that would normally protect Arrakeen from the deep desert.
See,
Of the shield
that's
walls,
why
God.
Dargush needs some of those. But yeah, that's
Yes, Baron, we're working
matter
on it.
for later.
So we have a number of messages pending,
Yeah.
wanting to come through. Rachis, our three allied houses, they would all like a word.
We can
There
definitely
is
have
an
some
imperial
time as well.
message, but it's not from the Emperor, it's from a functionary.
I think we'll go with Rachis and try and gather our mini lands rad separately in a joint
Conference call.
call. Yeah.
Okay, the
But,
Rachis call
I
is the
should probably
Countess.
answer. Yeah.
Countess Ildana Rachis.
Well, it's been an interesting evening, hasn't it?
Yes, dear.
Do
The Reverend Mother is not best pleased. Her principal advisor is Reverend Mother Cora Arlana.
I'll sort of glance over at Kaelin.
And my own spy master suggests that your intelligence here may be more useful than ours.
We'll definitely coordinate with you, dear.
For what it's worth, my brother is with the Imperial Party.
Oh,
He's been courting favors on Kaitan, and as such is there with them. He's a good man, and he doesn't want the throne. He's quite happy for our son to take it. You'll remember him from when you had to run the gauntlet before our wedding.
Yeah. We'll do what we can. We're still laying the groundwork for some of the security I spoke of earlier. When we land,
If your
things should
War
be in
Master
hand.
and Spy Master could coordinate with Penelope on the ground, that would be an assistance that would be most invaluable to us. She can give them some information about other minor houses. Hopefully they can give her some intelligence about Arrakis. We've not been here before since we lost it the first time to the Harkonnens.
Yes.
I won't see them beat us again.
Well, if the Emperor is striding about, it seems unlikely they'll be beating anyone anytime soon. But we'll coordinate with you. I will get my spy master to set up maybe a single point of contact for us to coordinate things through.
A wise decision.
You should keep us updated on any Rachis movements while you're on the ground, though, so we can ensure that everyone stays as safe as possible.
Given your expertise on Arrakis and the staffing you've managed to acquire, I will follow your lead on this. Just let's not look like I'm following your lead on this.
Totally understandable. That's, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Don't like her.
See you planetside.
See you later.
Hello, Joster.
My dear. Love you.
He'll wink as well before the communication.
Ah, yes, that famous Dela charm.
There
No,
it
you
is.
say it. No, you say it. No, you say
Hey,
it.
I know.
Yeah, he's not that. Cool.
Yeah, he's definitely, he feels
wishes
like
he
more
was
of a-
that cool.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. So,
Baron.
we'll be coordinating with Rachis.
Penelope.
To a
Princess
degree.
Penelope.
I don't think we need to show them everything we know.
Show them everything they know, not everything we know.
We know, yeah, that is the key.
Truth
Just
is
a
in the
little bit
silence.
more than what they know. Enough to make them feel all safe and cozy. And to ensure they follow our lead if
That
it comes to it.
knowledge.
Yeah,
The safe and cozy knowledge. I'm sure we have some of that.
I'm sure we can find suitable ways to impress them with our security. Yeah. The main key here is going to be finding out what this Atreides heir wants from the houses and what they can throw out if the houses don't agree.
But they have control
Is
of the
the
spice,
spice?
Baron.
Yeah. Do they, or is it a bluff? I mean, we have no verified information on that so far.
That sounds like an objective.
It does. Maybe contact some of our old smuggler friends and examine some of our own former spice fields.
The smugglers, I presume, would be found mostly in the capital.
Yeah.
And if you wish me to approach Siege Abacat in their new location on landing, then that will also hopefully give us some intelligence into the Fremen.
If there's fighting going on, and if this Paul Atreides, Muad'Dib, whatever he calls himself, is leading the Fremen, there's a good chance some of our own Fremen contacts will be amongst that army.
Well, that may give us an in to gather more of that intelligence.
Make it as non-threatening as possible. This situation is very tense.
Salutes with the crisp knife. Yes, Baron.
Boom. If I
Fremen
may.
respect strength. They don't respect nuance.
Boom. If I may, this is my first time to Arrakis. Is it likely that he could lead in all of the Fremen?
It's very unlikely. The Siege do not cooperate in that fashion. The Fremen are not given to mass warfare. We are a desert people, and we survive by being small and fairly secretive. Usually outsiders are at the best unwelcome, and at the worst walking water.
Okay. And if, let's say, for argument's sake, he has, what's your best estimate on how many Fremen we could be facing if we are landing in a hostile situation?
Question to the storyteller. Does Foom actually know? Because
Would Foom admit it as well?
well,
That's the
also
other
would
thing.
Foom admit it? Because
Kaylin's testing waters here.
Yeah. So
She
the
doesn't
thing
know
is,
Foom very well. So
with the Fremen, they make such a big thing about there not being very
really
many of them,
small.
but they do know there are one or two here and there. And, you know, it's not going to be difficult for you to tell, because once the satellite pictures start coming in from as you were approaching
From Arakeen.
From Arakeen.
There's a massive army
then,
there.
well, Foom would probably be quite surprised at the sheer number of Fedaykin that would be
How
there.
do you get that many Fedaykin in one place without them just stabbing each other?
That is the question. Like, were?
Also, I feel like the whole of House Dargush are going to be kind of insulted by this entire situation, in that they didn't see any of it coming whatsoever.
The whole point of this is that nobody could see it coming, because Paul had to chart such a narrow route through impossible futures.
That doesn't stop us from thinking we should have seen it.
God damn it! It's our whole thing is perception, and we didn't.
You might have had more of a clue than some others because of the way that your spice trade on the side works and the costs changing and stuff like that. So,
and in perception is opportunity.
yeah.
Yes.
So there are many more Fremen than anybody could possibly have believed. And it looks like they've all come out to fight.
Yes. So Foom will just kind of pull up the satellite imagery and throw it up on the wall and go, I believe this will answer your question. That is an unexpected number of Fremen.
Even for the Fremen, they were unexpecting it.
And for my next question, Foom, and I apologize if this is insulting, how do I kill a Fremen easily?
You let them die of old age.
Okay. I don't have that as an option.
You asked for the easy way.
Okay, the hard way.
You challenge them to a duel. Knife fight.
Understand. Then I may need some time
It's
alone.
easier to fight one than it is to fight all of them.
Seems fair.
Then if I may, I would like some private time with you to learn the ways of the Fremen. If I'm going to fight them, I'd at least like a chance.
I will train you to fight alongside them.
I mean, that would be preferable, but as the Baron hasn't decided what side we're standing on at this moment in time.
I think sides are overrated, aren't they? We're on Dargush's side.
There is only one side.
So that conference call you were talking about,
yeah,
with the mini Landsrad,
yeah, Let's bring him up.
I feel like Foob is already on a sidebar with Kiwa.
Well, the swordmaster of House Dargush is actually a Kiwa.
Yeah.
There
Excellent.
you go.
Yeah, that's how close your relationship has become. You got one of them working for you. So yes, houses Kiwa, Gunnaruks, and Amora pop up on their respective comms channels. Their representatives, they've got probably somewhat lesser representatives. They've been sending their envoys rather than sending their heirs or their leaders of the house.
Yeah.
There might be a couple of mentats, possibly even a Bene Gesserit amongst them.
Well, I think
Oh, Baron
we
Daler, we weren't expecting you to be here in person.
where the richies go nowadays, so do I. I mean, surely can't leave my dear Countess all on her own on Arrakis.
Right.
And it seemed like my travel arrangements were well timed. How are the houses?
Ill prepared for this degree of summons. If we are honest, we're a farming house. We don't have the resources necessary to deal with this, but the Fremen and their prophecies are a fascinating study. Truly amazing how such a close parallel to their myths and parables have been able to be charted by the young Atreides.
Seems like you have a little bit of information there that we could use. And it
His
seems
mother,
like-
Lady Jessica, was a member of the Bene Gesserit, as am I. So there are
Gonna
certain
look over at Galen again.
pieces of intelligence that may assist.
I really need to stop sleeping in for those morning briefings. Then,
Did you not read the notes?
so many notes.
Kiwa alert
So
are
much.
basically,
Yeah.
We all send memos. But
we're here to fight. Who are we fighting? Who are we protecting? We don't want to go to war for no reason.
I think it may be best if, when we make landfall, we make landfall with our various resources in close enough proximity to each other, which I know we have occasionally avoided in times past because our alliance is not always as joyously received by
We can
the
see to
other
it
houses.
that we are stationed closer together. There's a simple matter of manipulating the flight logs and pathways. I will
That's why
see
I
to it
love
that we are
having you
situated
along.
together.
You're saying you can
And
make it look
once-
like an accident, but we can still marshal our forces in the same place.
Yeah. This
Um,
is something that Gunnaruks are particularly competent with.
This is very true. I'm particularly liking the ornithopter you've lent me, by the way. Thank you.
Does that still
Yeah.
work?
Glad you approve.
Oh yes.
It still works. That's one of the finest pieces of equipment we have on offer.
Hey, it's been a while. But
Oh, no, this is the upgrade.
oh, okay. We just keep getting new ones.
So, how do
No.
you want to dispose of your allied houses? I suppose is one way of looking at it. You've got a house of soldiers
Yeah.
who
I
don't want to fight the wrong people, but are more than happy to protect the right people. You've got a bunch of people who have got an insight into religious philosophy, and then you've got some mechanical engineers who
Yeah.
are good at organizing.
I think we're also going to create a coordinating team, preferably led by Dargush, by someone from Dargush to.
You outrank the rest of the houses in terms of importance.
So basically, I just say we're going to do that. And I think at the moment, our own troops and the Kiwa troops shall be on defensive duty. We'll put it that way, until we have a better idea of who or what we should be fighting.
Do we still have holdings in the capital, Baron?
Well, that was initially my question, because I wanted somewhere safe for us and the Rachis to potentially drop down to.
There is
that we
nowhere
can secure.
safe on Arrakis.
Yeah, safe-ish, something that belongs to us.
That's like a compound that we have secured
Yeah.
previously, even if it is now being mothballed.
Not really. Last time you were here, you stayed in the palace.
Well, we'll just have to seize part of the capital then.
Find us a nice defensible area. Also, one that gives us enough of an overview of the situation that we can disperse in directions as needed.
Kaylin, do any of your simulations of the capital suggest a spot?
That's a very good question. Do my simulations suggest any spots, Ben, when I was doing all that work earlier?
Let's have a look. Why don't you what would you like to roll for that?
So are we looking at it from a defensible point of view, or just somewhere where it's out of the way for us to just be in control of the situation?
Baron was requesting defensible and with avenues of approach on
Then I
primary
would
targets.
suggest probably battle and duty then, because I will do what needs to be done for the house to prosper, and I have a strong battle background.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Use some momentum, because we need this to go well.
If you use some momentum, you get an extra dice.
Oh, I've gone past that stage in my thing. 1 second. Click. Can I click to go back? Got focus as well. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh no,
Should
no,
be
it's
right.
not, no, sorry, that's not focus. That's my statement. Apologies. So, duty.
Statement gives you auto success.
I don't think it does. I double checked, and statement looks like it also gives you the same as focus.
Oh, okay.
I did get a success.
You also got a complication.
Oh, sugar.
PP. What's that do? Now does my
Mm-mm-mm.
driven?
I mean, you could just save it as a point of threat for later, Ben.
I could. It's true.
Rather than immediately.
I don't think you've got
backing us
anything
up.
that will offset
No, I do not.
the. So you've got a success, and it's a 4, so it's a crit.
Yeah.
And then you've also got a complication as well. So yeah, the complication is this: you can have one or the other. So your choice is to either risk it and hide out in the rougher side of town, where you'll probably have more access to the Fremen, but less access to the halls of power. So more defensible, less accessible, or to accept the offer of the palace, where you'd be more vulnerable, but you'll have more access to the corridors of power. Everywhere else is going to be snapped up by bigger houses than you, and you don't have the authority to countermand it. So it's either slumming it and hiding out with the Fremen, town and city Fremen, or staying at the palace.
The question here is, if we stay at the palace, that won't necessarily, as that's what they're expecting all the houses to do anyway, won't necessarily come over as an overly large slight to the Fremen. But if we say sod the palace and smack ourselves down in the middle of part of Arrakeen,
Some of the other houses are going to be
Emperor,
staying on
right?
drop ships rather than staying in the palace, because the Emperor
okay.
doesn't control the palace at the minute.
Yeah.
Also, not to disparage our house, but we are a smaller house, so it wouldn't be unheard of for us to not be in the palace.
It may play to their presumption that we
Indeed.
cannot afford or do not think that we are worthy of the palace, Baron.
Okay. Yeah, we also have the Rachis in tow. Remember that. But
We'll
fine.
get some nice rugs.
We will ensure
We'll,
the nicest building that we can control will be for the Countess and the Rachis.
It's very cultural, Baron.
Never
Perhaps
say
they should
that
just
I don't
consider
listen
the
to
bigger
my
picture.
advices. Fine.
Ben,
We'll go-
in that area, is there a building that has a particularly large roof that would be able to fit a small craft to land on it?
Yes. Yeah. A lot of the streets are kind of squashed together, so you'd be landing on the roof of about 4 houses. But yeah.
Yeah. So,
Spot.
so sort of, Kaylin sort of like points that out and going, so obviously we won't be able to evacuate everybody if it all goes to hell, but at least the Baron and the Countess could be evacuated if needed.
Well, we can
Okay.
land the major craft there, and the ornithopters can land in the smaller quads surrounding the buildings. And in fact, by using the Gunnerux transports, we are realistically not that far from the palace should visits be needed.
That is, I think, the plan. And then our own teams and the Kiwa teams will run perimeter,
We will clear and
but
secure.
not engage unless explicitly ordered.
Si, Barone.
And then one last thing I would like to ask of our allied houses is our good food and religious friends. I'd like them to start working on extrapolating what they think is going to become the end game of this whole prophecy. Because
Okay,
we
yeah.
really need to know what's going to happen, or at least have a guess.
If this is following the parables, as you
Yeah.
say, it's
Because
good
they
to
seem
know
to
the
be
ending.
intrigued anyway, so I think we can get them working on that.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
they're
the-
effectively an external resource for you to use on that
Yeah,
process.
then that's what we'll do.
Okay. So you take over one of the market squares in downtown Arakeen, landing your transports and your ornithopters in such a way as to be within walking distance of the palace or ground vehicle distance of the palace, should the need arise.
Point of order, the ornithopters do not land until everyone else is out and in buildings.
Well, the ornithopters would also be coming down with the drop ships, transport ships, because they're atmosphere capable, they're not space
Okay.
capable.
So we need to break them out.
Yeah.
It's because we're battle ready. We can do it in a matter of moments.
It's true.
Get them up in the air and providing air cover.
Go Dargush.
So we get down and get set up. As you hit groundfall, Arrakis is more horrible than some of you remember it, and as welcoming as some of the rest of you remember it.
Home. Ah.
Ah, sand. It's
You walk
already
out into a
everywhere.
sandstorm, the likes of which Arakeen has never seen, because the shield wall has protected it from them for the longest time. And now big chunks of the shield wall aren't there anymore to protect the city.
Foom is absolutely loving it. Full still suit. Scars
That's
are
why I
on.
can move any mountain.
Not
Ah.
very efficient that Harkonnens did not rid House Atreides of their atomics. This is quite a large
It's
oversight on their
Harkonnens.
behalf.
If they were efficient, we wouldn't have got half the job done we have done here.
If they're efficient, we'd all be dead.
Also, nobody knew where the Atreides atomics were except Leto and Paul.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something to be learned there.
That's
Yeah.
my point.
Nobody knows where our atomics are either.
You haven't got
Not
any.
yet.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
when we do get the atomics, no one will know where they are.
So,
Be glad you built that secret vault now, Dela.
yeah.
Not keeping them on my own planet. That secret vault's round the road from my house.
Depends how much time I'm going to be spending on Arrakis.
Fair. Okay, so we're down, we're landed, and we are setting up our space. I think under the circumstances, because of your dual fealty, it makes most sense for... Well, I think in fairness, anybody could probably make the check. We're looking at an understanding and faith check.
I mean, I'm pretty good at that.
All right.
Dayla has changed.
Wow.
Yeah,
But
I know.
Yeah, my faith is rubbish.
I mean, faith, yes. Understand, no.
you do have your
I'm just-
focus because of your faith statement.
Believe in the will of Shai Hulud.
This is about the locals, the Fremen who are
Yep.
already in this area.
Yes, yes. Foom will be trying to reach out to them and anyone else that we either had contact with or can make contact with to soften our landing somewhat, but also find out what the hell's going on.
I might try as well.
Yeah, as Mentat, being able to read the room is always a wise thing.
So my understand is all right, but my faith is rubbish. So
Know the feeling.
It's the other way around for you.
Yeah,
between the
it's
two
the
of
other
us,
way
we might get good results.
Yeah.
So
Actually, that's a good point.
3 and a 14.
Advisor. Who's got advisor?
I've got
Not
advisor,
me.
but it's on
You've got
discipline.
advisor, but it's for discipline. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Never mind then.
It's a good
Okay,
thought.
so we
Let me
got
see
one
if I
success
can
there
Tell
from
people to do stuff.
That's got to be a crit, surely.
Tarek's understanding. No, because it's data analysis is his focus.
Okay. I'll take those apples.
I
Nice.
Look at that, though.
Okay. I
So
don't
it's
need to
3
bolster
successes there
I think
from
we're
you.
all right. Yeah.
anyone.
So
Great.
as far as Tarek assesses the situation, you're not the only people that realize that this place is close to the palace, but far enough away to be out of sight and out of mind. There are many pairs of blue and blue eyes watching you at all times as soon as you land. However, to Foom's eyes, what that means is you've kind of landed smack dab in the middle of a bunch of town Fremen who can be relied on to carry messages to the Fedaykin and the military force should the need arise. You will be able to make contact with Abacat forces through them.
Okay.
That's handy.
In fact, with 3 successes there,
Yeah, I was
you
gonna
could probably use some of those to create a temporary asset of a messenger or
Yeah.
even a recognizable face
think-
from back in your siege days.
I think we could definitely use an immediate connection.
I think I was going to go with the recognizable face. And to do this narratively, as Foom steps out into the sandstorm and adjusts his still suit, he will be looking for the contacts and will, I don't know, find in one of the little quads, maybe there's an apricot. And he will go and on one knee and will water the apricot with his own still suit water. And make obeisance with his crisp knife, and then stand up, and then turn to the probably older gentleman who maybe sat in the same quad and
You are
Wink.
interesting for an off-worlder.
I am no off-worlder.
And you arrived from space in one of their vessels.
Yes.
But your eyes, you have Fremen eyes.
Yes. As do you,
And your still
older
suit.
brother.
Your still suit is worn Fremen style.
This is because I am a Fremen.
And you know the ways of the Abicat?
Because I was once a son of Siege Abicat.
Once I knew a boy, all knees and elbows, by the name of Fum.
Hmm.
Perhaps you have heard of him. He was an adventurer and a traveler. He may have ventured off this world, but his water remains of Arrakis.
This is good to know. And if he was to return, would he find friends here in the capital?
The desert always welcomes those who come back with truth in their hearts.
There is no truth but the truth of Shai Hulud.
Bless the Maker and his passing.
So I like what you've done with the place. It's a lot sandier.
The shield wall was in the way.
Mm.
Now it is not.
No, it's good. I like it. It's more homey.
Muad'Dib guides us to a different future, where the Fremen may be free and no longer oppressed on one world.
Ah, so does this freedom mean the freedom of the stars?
It is said.
Said by whom?
The preachers who come to us from the desert, those who speak of times of change.
And if I was to want to hear these words for myself, would I be able to find one of these preachers?
You have come from off-world with the ones who will see Muad'Dib next. You wish to hear the words from the source, you should go to him. If you wish to send a message home to the Siege, it can be arranged.
I would like to send a message home. I would like to know if there are those that also remember me, and for them to know that I remember them.
We who have been burned know how to stand back to back. Be cautious, though. The Emperor's terror troops see all Fremen as a threat.
Yeah, but...
They are right.
We will reap them, and we will take their water.
Their water is not fit for the sands of Arrakis.
Then we must spill it somewhere else.
Go to him. Go to the Muad'Dib, this Paul Atreides, they call him. See what he says to the Emperor of all. I will let the Siege know you are here.
Thank you, elder brother.
Spits on the ground in front of you. Walks
I will
inside.
Turn the spit. Happy Fremen customs.
Yeah, Kaylin sees all this. Well, kind of sees all this because she's kind of like watching because she wants to make sure because she doesn't quite trust you.
Did he just piss on an apricot and then spit at an old man?
Basically,
That's literally
Pretty
what I
much.
was thinking.
Pretty much.
Because
Yeah.
Kaylin knows very little about Fremen and their customs, and certainly doesn't quite trust Fremen. Even though he's the War Master, she doesn't know him that well, and he's a Fremen, and we're apparently on the Fremen world. So she's kind of watching him as best she can through a sandstorm. Because
Equally, you work for his dad, so
well, yes, it's true, but he's not a Fremen.
I don't
that's
trust,
true.
trust no one.
And also, as her true statement is, there's always more than one version of the truth. So she doesn't trust people.
Particularly appropriate in context.
But as like sort of he comes back, she's going to ask him what the spitting was about. Why are you spitting on the floor? Seems awfully
It's,
rude.
Fremen, for the Fremen and for those true to Arrakis, water is the most precious of resources.
That seems apt, considering how dry it is here.
Exactly.
Oh, sweetheart, you're in the city. Wait until you get outside.
She's doing a bit of reckon. She's not enjoying it. For our viewers, she's very pale of skin and dark hair. She's not used to this kind of setting. She's sort of like makeshift, like covered her head as much as she can.
Kaelin, if you are to be spending more time on Arrakis, we will see to your accoutrements and your still suit and your wrappings, which are currently amusing to the small children.
Well, I'm glad I provide some amusement to this whole entire situation. Yes, I must be properly appointed and attired, because while my wear is practical for my security job, it seems impractical for this current environment we are in.
Yes.
I would take your advisement on that.
Wise.
She kind of falls in lockstep behind him and follows him to wherever he's going.
Mostly pointing at troops.
So there's a bunch of empty shops that you've commandeered, really. This was a Fremen marketplace and shopping district. The Harkonnens have pretty much cracked down on it to the point of nobody really being here anymore who isn't a spy.
Okay.
We will sweep and clear.
During a sweep and clear of the area, you would find something of interest to you.
Is it
A head
or not?
on a spike
Oh, okay.
on top of a building. Big, chunky, round, bald head.
Oh, no. Oh,
Hey,
do we want to return it to the Harkonnens or?
I think they probably already know.
Yeah, but we can give it to them as a little gift.
Put your brother back, mate.
Take some selfies with it.
Yes, for those who are less in the know, this is the head of the beast Raban. When he was forced to flee the palace, he made the mistake of running into Fremen-controlled territory, where he got knifed up by an 8-year-old.
See, it's good to amuse the children.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh well. Dayla is gonna look at the head, and he'll turn to Tariq, look at the head, and say, by the way, Tariq, where are the Von Meer?
Good question, Baron. I'll consult my... Where are the Von Meer?
Ooh, now that's a difficult one, because the Von Meer are deep in hiding. So,
Can't imagine why.
let's
I know
find
why.
House Von Meer. Fortunately, they're not very good at spying, whereas you are. So,
They try their darndest.
they might try their darndest, but I think for you, this is probably a discipline
Oh,
and
okay.
duty or discipline and justice check.
Justice.
My assist.
I believe
Unless I'm
in
too busy wandering
choices.
around.
I believe in now discipline. Yes, that means that you could use.
Yeah, got espionage.
You have got espionage, but it means that you can use Foom's roll for discipline, which is 8, instead of yours. You could still use
Okay.
your espionage.
So I'll have
Is
8
that how
in
it works?
discipline
That's not what I'm
and...
reading.
That's what advisor is, isn't it?
You choose this talent, select a single skill whenever you assist.
Oh, they
an
can
ally.
re-roll a single d20. My
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, it's not using his. It's a different thing that you can use their roll
It
for.
gets you a re-roll, basically.
Yeah.
If one of you.
Ah, there we go. It's
Suck.
Kaelin that's got that one.
Ah,
Okay, so 7
and re-roll. the 16.
success
And
and
reroll the 16.
re-roll the 16.
Just don't get a 20. Ah,
14, but 14 is still a success. So
Mhm.
2 successes. The Von Meer house are remarkably quiet and have been remarkably quiet for some time. They are found, they show up in the entourage of the Harkonnens. They are at the palace already, deep in the Harkonnens' pockets, barely more than a retainer these days, although there's supposed to technically be a retainer house to Regis as well.
My lord, I
But we're nice.
believe they are retaining to House Harkonnen and are already present on the planet's surface,
Okay.
deep within their court.
In that case, get this box up for me, would you?
Would you like a ribbon, sir?
We might not go that far.
You sure you want to send a biosample to a bunch of cloners?
I'm not
Maybe
sending
not.
it to him
Ah,
yet.
that won't cause a
Quick!
problem for the future at all. Dargush 4. Whoops, we got Beast Raban back.
We're keeping it for a later, as yet undisclosed idea.
Refrigerated box then.
Oh, or I'm sure the Umura have some distilled spirit or something that we could preserve it in.
Pickled
there you go.
Raban.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds fine. I see no issues with this whatsoever. Baron, I have made contact with the town Fremen and an old friend who is going to reach out to Siege Abacat so that we may further investigate the what is going on with the Fremen.
Yeah.
He spoke of preachers that have come and spoken to the Fremen and told them of the prophecies of this Muad'Dib, but his counsel was to hear from the source himself.
That's probably going to happen sooner or later anyway. But
He spoke
maybe
of
would it be possible to introduce some of our friends from I can't remember what the allied house is called.
Amora.
Amora. Yeah, that's the one. To some of these stories from the preachers. It might help them with their own research before we end up standing across from this Paul.
Time's not really on your
Traders.
side there because it's
Yeah.
land come to the palace.
Oh well.
Yeah.
they can do further research.
You know, it takes time for everybody to get landed and to deploy forces and to get their posh frocks and stuff on so that they can head to the palace.
Not that much time.
But not that much time, yeah. Not enough time to track down a desert preacher to put in touch with a friend of a friend.
Can be a future avenue, Baron.
Okay.
For the moment, our next mission, I believe, is to enter the palace, be at the audience, exit the palace alive.
That seems like a good idea.
It's good to have
On-
high-level goals.
Yeah,
On
mission
that
criteria.
that front. Posh frocks or steel suits? I'm thinking a combination.
We're on Arrakis, so
Posh still suits.
Just, steel suit with my jacket over it.
I did
I
tell
think-
Kaelin that I would show her the way.
Please.
I think we're far enough out from the palace that we could, and what with this shield wall situation,
You could justify
we
wearing
could
still suits.
justify not exactly turning up in entirely formal attire.
As you will. Kind of
Show
suit up.
everyone how to wear it the right way.
Yes, Baron. I would not be seen out with anything else.
Yeah.
I think what he meant by that was make sure everyone's wearing it Fremen style.
Yes.
That's how I took it.
And how that
Because-
worked out for Paul the first time. You've worn a still suit before? No? Just seemed like the right way to wear it.
Just you plug that in there, right? Well, don't see the problem.
No.
We'll know
yeah,
our ways
well,
as though
it's,
born to them.
It might not be too obvious for the other houses, but it will be for the Fremen.
If I might suggest, Baron, as you have brought back the half cape, we could dress the still suits with those in the house colours.
Oh, I like that idea.
Baron, not to offer a opposite opinion. I would never countenance your advice in this matter. But should we dress like Fremen, given the situation? Do we wish to? Could the other houses see that as us already aligning with Atreides?
Well, even if the Emperor's going to need some fighting to be done, we're going to be fighting in still suits, probably, in this environment. So we turn up all nicely dressed in house colours, but
let's throw some caftans or some robes over the
Yeah.
top.
Rock and roll.
but with still suits on.
And
Understood, Baron.
I doubt there are many that would
It's
recognise the
a perception
distinction.
of readiness as well, as much as anything else.
Muad'Dib and his Fedaykin attendants will recognise the worth of what we do. I doubt that the other house representatives will even notice.
Understood. I just wanted to be sure.
Well, my wife might complain, but
Caution is admirable, Caleb, and is fully appreciated.
In
And I would
fairness,
ask-
she'd probably be quite prepared to draw attention away by wearing a posh frock in Richie's
Yeah,
colours. Being,
precisely.
look at me, I'm
We-
in a posh frock.
Big hat.
we just look like overly dressed up bodyguards.
That's us.
That's pretty much what we are right at this point. And Kaylin would also ask that Foom spend special attention to her specialist security team to make sure that they are also fully prepared.
Everyone will be suitably marshalled.
We
Very
won't
well.
have
And with that,
time.
we will head off to the palace on Arakeen,
Yes.
where we shall pick up next week
Bum, 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 bum.
on Canley. Bum, bum, bum.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, seems like a good breaking point. I had originally thought we'd probably get so far as the Paul versus Fade duel. Spoilers.
No,
but
there's
that will
far
make a
too much
great-
fucking about to do.
Deep
We've laid the
world building.
groundwork.
Deep world building, yes.
Hey,
We've got our own shit to worry about.
yeah, precisely. The
None of
important
this
part
galactic
is
politics crap.
whatever happens, we're ready. That's what we did today.
So join us next week once more on Garblag Games for Canley, Book 3 of the Dargush Dune cycle. In the meantime, don't forget to click all the links and do all the things that can be found in the places. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Thank you very much to Red Sage RPG for their raid earlier. Most appreciated. And then next week, we will pick up in the throne room on Arakeen, all ready for Paul and the Emperor to have their rap battle. Okay, with no further ado then, I bid you good night, lovely people. See you next time.
Good night.